ready for some football, some Texans Today party.
Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, the Colts make a quarterback change before this weekend's matchup. I'll tell you what that means for this Texans squad. Also, your Houston Texans, they made a couple roster moves of their own. I'm going to break that down. And at the end of today's show, I wanted to talk about how I think the Texans might have found a diamond in the rough. Maybe they, getting all these practice squad players and, getting some low-end guys. Maybe it's paying off for Nick Caserio. But before we get into all that, a quick reminder, Week 18, it is set. This Sunday, we will be going live around 45 minutes before kickoff. It's noon, a noon kickoff game. Texans season finale. It's at NRG, so if you're going, get loud, get rowdy, and make sure you pull up to our watch party here at Texans Today. Last one of the regular season before we get ready for the playoffs. All right, here we go. Starting on Sunday is Riley Leonard, no longer Phillip Rivers for the Indianapolis Colts. And this came after, obviously the Texans eliminated them from playoff contention with their win over the Chargers last weekend. Riley Leonard, we have seen him in some game action this year. Not so great, though. 56.3%, 145 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, it makes sense, right? Phillip Rivers, obviously not the future at quarterback for Indy. It was, admirable for him to come back, try to win some games for the Colts, even though he did have me, biting my fingernails at different points. I really was hoping that it didn't come down to this Week 18 game with the Texans and the Colts, but obviously he's not running it back next year. And Riley Leonard, he might be the option, but I don't think so. I think it's more likely that one of these options is in the cards for Indy going into 2026. Kyler Murray with the Cardinals. He has been rumored to be in trade discussions. Kirk Cousins with the Falcons. Will they want to keep him with everything going on with Michael Penix? Tua Tagovailoa. He recently got benched for Quinn Ewers. Geno Smith. We all know that's been a dumpster fire in Las Vegas. Malik Willis has looked pretty good as a backup in Green Bay. Lamar Jackson. Yes, Lamar Jackson. There's rumors around him possibly leaving Baltimore. And then Daniel Jones, even though he got injured towards the end of this season, could still be an option if the Colts want to bring him back and maybe have him start, maybe, give him some rest and start him a couple weeks into next season. That is always an option for them. And the other one, Anthony Richardson, their former first-round pick in the same draft as C.J. Stroud. Will he get another chance? He was placed on IR. It was a crazy injury that he dealt with. He was, stretching with one of those bands. It popped and hit him in the eye, and he got an orbital bone fracture. So very weird circumstances there with Anthony Richardson. But will the former top 5 pick get another chance in Indy, or will they go with one of those other quarterbacks? I want to hear from you. Who do you think will be starting for the Indianapolis Colts at quarterback in 2026? Go down and predict it down below in the comments section. I want to hear what y'all have to say. Honestly, I think Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa make the most sense for the Indianapolis Colts, and probably more Tua Tagovailoa if you ask me, because what did the Colts do this year? They mortgaged their future to go out and get Sauce Gardner. They traded multiple first-round picks to get the former Jets quarterback. So they don't have a first this year. They don't have a first next year. If you trade for a guy like Tua with his cap hit, the Dolphins might actually give the Colts a draft pick to take Tua Tagovailoa off their roster. So that kind of makes the most sense to me if you're tracking. Maybe they go in the draft and get a second, third round guy at quarterback. There's a couple decent players in the draft this season at quarterback that might slide to round 2 or round 3 if you're Indianapolis. But at the end of the day, I think it makes the most sense to go out and get one of those other guys, especially with the Colts roster that, believe it or not, halfway through the season was the number 1 seed in the AFC before Daniel Jones got injured. Now, coming up in just a moment, Texans roster moves that you need to know. Plus, did the Texans make a sneaky good signing? I'm going to break all that down here in just a moment, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. It's time to challenge the status quo, and Polymarket is now live to help us do so. You can be part of the revolutionary alternative to sportsbooks with our special invite code. Download Polymarket's new app now via the link that is in the description and comments to unlock exclusive early access and free $10 into your account with the invite code chat. Polymarket is a prediction marketplace that lets you make trades on the outcomes of sporting events. As you can see right here on the screen, you can even buy and sell within games with live trading. Polymarket, they're the best right now. Polymarket has the lowest fees ever. You trade against other people, not the platform. You can cash out anytime and react to momentum swings within the game. You are in control. It's legal and available nationwide in all 50 states on their iOS app now. For this week's Texans game, they're giving Houston an 83% chance to win, which makes a lot of sense because Indianapolis, they're rolling out their backup quarterback. So, of course, I'm going to go ahead and ride with Houston. $10 free is waiting for you. No card, no deposit, nothing. Download the app with our exclusive code CHAT now at chatsports.com/polymarket. Exclusive early access plus $10 free. Once again, shout out to Polymarket for sponsoring today's program. Now let's get into the latest Texans roster moves that we need to discuss. First off, the Texans bringing back Elijah Hussey. This is a guy that's been on the practice squad, been back and forth throughout the year, but they signed him through 2026, which I think is actually really smart move. Now, when the Texans went ahead and signed Elijah Hussey as a UDFA this past off season, they did so knowing that he got injured in his Senior Bowl activities, which meant that he probably wasn't going to play most, if not all, of this season. Now, he's healthy. He's back to being able to play. Now this gives the Texans another option as a cornerback that provides depth for this team moving forward for next year. Elijah Hussey, I'm excited to see what he can do once he gets a full chance on the field. Maybe he becomes a good rotation piece for this Texans team, or maybe a special team standout. All I know is my guy Nick Roloff here at Chat Sports was singing the praises of the former Tar Heel in Elijah Hussey. So let's see what he can do maybe this playoff run and going into next year. Now, another roster move that we need to talk about. Justin Watson, wide receiver, one of the guys the Texans signed this offseason. And if you remember all the way back to my offseason videos, D'Amico Ryans praised a couple guys, one being Justin Watson. I'm interested to see if he can add some blocking to this wide receiver room. Now, with a corresponding move, the Texans, they obviously had to waive somebody. That person was Solomon Byrd, the former 7th-round pick out of USC from last season. He has been on and off this Texans team, on and off the practice squad. Another guy who the Texans have continuously, let go of, brought back. Nothing really against Solomon Byrd. I think it's more that they just need more help in other areas at this moment rather than defensive end. But another good player that I could definitely see the Texans bringing back at some point. Final story on today's show. Did the Texans find a diamond in the rough with the signing of K'Von Wallace? Now, the Texans safety room, it's been through the ringer this year. Remember, we started off with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. There was all that drama. They ended up cutting him. He is now with the Chicago Bears. And ever since then, the Texans have been searching for answers at that safety position. They thought they had it with MJ Stewart. He suffered a season-ending injury. They had the rookie Jalen Reed. He suffered an injury, was put on IR, probably be back for the playoffs. And then they put in Miles Bryant. Now, this past week, K'Von Wallace, he took all the snaps at that safety spot over Miles Bryant against the Chargers. And the PFF grades speak for themselves. He did really well. Overall grade of 81.1, a pass rush grade of 73.8, run defense grade of 85.8, and a coverage grade, nice, of 69. K'Von Wallace really stepped in big time. And, the former 4th-round pick out of Clemson, he was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. He gave us a lot in that game up against the Chargers to consider moving forward into the playoffs. Is he going to be the full-time starter at that safety position next to a guy like Kalen Bullock? And he has a massive opportunity. He's been in the league for 3 or 4 seasons at this point. He has a huge chance to take this opportunity by the horns and possibly be a starter next year for the Texans or for another team moving forward. This is a huge audition tape for K'Von Wallace to prove himself. And what better defense to do that with this Texans defensive line, this pass rush. They're going to give him every opportunity to make plays on the back end. And I'm really excited to see what K'Von Wallace can do. As I mentioned, the Texans will be getting more reinforcements back with rookie Jalen Reed, the 6th-round pick out of Penn State. He was placed on IR after the December 6th game. He suffered a forearm injury in Week 13. But sources close to Reed have told me that he expects to be back for the wild card round. So where does that leave this depth chart? I think in a decent spot. We could have some better, depth at certain spots, but having Miles Bryant as a rotation guy to come in, he can come in at either the safety spots or the nickel position that Jalen Petrie roams in. Also, you have Tremon Smith as another backup corner. I like having K'Von Wallace step up, and I really liked what I saw out of him this past week. up against the LA Chargers. I want to see if he can continue that going into Week 18 and into the wild card round. Now, that's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, you can do so at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open. And if you made it to the end of the video, we're doing something right. Hit that subscribe button for free Texans content all year long and more watch parties, including the one this Sunday. Texans Colts. Be there or be square.